All right. What's up, everybody? Here talking some ball. We got me, Yash, Dale, here
Yo.
in the flesh. How you boys doing today?
A little depressed about the Broncos defense getting 9 sacks, but
Yeah, it was kind of a rough week for me in fantasy. Lots of developments. I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah, I think in fantasy it wasn't that bad of a week for me. Like a lot of my takes aged pretty correctly this week, I felt like. But on the betting streets, oh my god, it was just some brutal beats all throughout the day yesterday. Xavier Worthy just not in the game plan, doesn't hit his receptions mark. Derrick Henry turns back the clock against the Rams in the first half and has 60 something first half rush yards when we were fading his rush yards.
and doesn't get there in fantasy though. He just has
Yeah.
100 yards.
Yeah. I'm glad I benched him in fantasy. I benched him for Rico Dowdle, which was a big brain move on my end. Got to pat myself on the back.
That's such a rough decision to make too.
Yeah, it feels so wrong on paper, but I'm like, you got to start Rico this week. So yeah, that was interesting. There was a lot of weird things like that happened. College football was what it was too on Saturday. Oh yeah, then we were big on Mason Taylor, and he gets one target the entire game.
I mean, that's not his fault, bro. That's like Justin Fields, bro. Pick up Tyrod Taylor at this point, bro.
Dude, it was bad. He took more sacks than completed passes. Like that.
He had negative pass yards if you count the sack yards. I'm not joking. He had negative 10 pass yards.
Jeez. All right, so first we're just going to kind of go through all the games from yesterday and kind of recap what happened, and then we're going to get to some best bets for tonight.
Start out with Broncos-Jets.
Yeah, we'll start with Broncos-Jets. Big takeaway is just that the Jets' offense was garbage. I mean, they really only scored 9 points. 2 of those came from a safety. And there were 3 field goals, didn't score a touchdown. I did see Garrett Wilson was getting MRI on his knee, which that is pretty concerning. So need to keep an eye on that. And Breece Hall didn't get there for fantasy. Mason Taylor got 1 target. Yeah, 22 carries is encouraging, but just horrible efficiency. Less than 3 yards per carry is pretty awful. Just look at the entire box score.
Same with J.K. Dobbins, dude. I was really happy about the J.K. Dobbins usage as an R.J. Harvey fader. Really encouraging to see 14 carries to R.J. Harvey's 2. Even in a game where they could have used him. It was a close game. I like to see it.
Yeah, it was just an ugly one. Only touchdown was Nate Adkins, which who knew who that was before the game happened. So, yeah, nothing really major to super take away from here, unless you guys have anything else. I'm fine to get into the next one.
Yeah, I mean, the only things that I would say is Justin Fields almost feels like a streamable quarterback at this point. If he's going up against a really good defense, just seems like the Jets can't even handle it. I thought I thought that Evan Ingram actually got some encouraging usage. Courtland Sutton has a dud day, but I don't know if he's really somebody that's falling in my rankings or anything like that. Yeah. Breece Hall usage was encouraging. Just Jets suck, man. Garrett Wilson always is still the dominant wide receiver there, but yeah. Aside from that, not a ton.
I'm glad we were telling people to stay away from starting players in that game all week. That was a good take. That aged well. I think I'm definitely gonna have to move Justin Fields a little down in my rankings, just because of this was a true floor game for Fields. And I think just seeing how low that floor is, we got to lower him a bit. But we kind of knew that. Maybe I was just getting a little ahead of myself because he was still getting there for fantasy. That's pretty much it for that game. Getting into Cardinals-Colts. Colts took care of this one. Not even fantasy-wise, but just real-life football stuff. The Colts look pretty good.
I like the Colts.
Jacoby Brissett actually played pretty well. Trey McBride had his best game of the year so far. We were talking about maybe taking his receptions on stream, and we didn't end up taking it, but that would have cashed. Jonathan Taylor was Jonathan Taylor, 123 yards on the ground in a tug. Not his true ceiling performance, but definitely kind of what you're expecting from your running back one. Brissett threw for 320. Cardinals backfield was pretty ugly. Bam Knight, 11 carries. Michael Carter, 9 carries. DeMarcado got 1. I think it's kind of what we were saying, how this is just kind of a murky backfield that we would rather not be starting pieces from.
Unless you really have to. But yeah. Zay Jones, I think I'm a little excited about Zay Jones, honestly. I'm always excited about players that get like end of season hype, like when a season wraps up and then they're forgotten about during preseason. Zay Jones has a bunch of like suspensions and whatever. When he was on the Jags like a few years ago, he ended that season with like 20, like damn near 20 points per game, right? Goes to the Cardinals, doesn't do anything, comes back, it's 5 receptions, 79 yards. Who's the receiver 2 on the Cardinals? Greg Dortch? Michael Wilson, who hasn't done anything ever? Like, I'm definitely like Zay Jones. I'm definitely entertaining that as a waiver wire pickup this week. If Marv is out again too, like,
yeah,
in a deeper league, sure. I just don't know how much he's really going to matter.
Also, Josh Downs. I know a lot of people drop Josh Downs lately.
Yeah, I think that the kind of main takeaways for me were Trey McBride crushes, right? We kind of talk about that, but Trey McBride gets all the usage we want. He has that big blow-up game that you love to see from Trey McBride. I saw the stat that Jacoby Brissett throwing for 320 and 2 touchdowns. Kyler Murray hasn't done that in like 2 years, which is just like a little concerning for Kyler Murray, maybe if you're a dynasty owner.
I almost feel like that's a team fit moment.
Jonathan Taylor,
this game script, I think it definitely inflated like passing game volume stats for the Cardinals. Like, I don't think this 44 dropbacks number is sustainable, like at all for Jacoby Brissett. I think it was a lot of like game script in there. They were playing from behind for most of the game. Ground game wasn't getting there. They just had a lot of snaps on offense. You're talking about Zay Jones, Josh, but like I think this game is like his ceiling. Yeah, so no one I'm going super crazy about. Sorry I cut you off here.
No, you're good. Yeah, I think that for me, Michael Pittman moves down a little bit. You know, I think that he was running touchdown hot. He has 4 touchdowns in the first 5 weeks, and he's averaging around 15 points per game. This week he comes out. The Colts are productive, but he has 2 receptions for 20 yards. Probably going to move down just a little bit. Josh Downs might move up a tad. He's not cracking my top 24, but maybe an interesting flex play in deeper leagues. Tyler Warren gets what you want, and Jonathan Taylor's just that clear-cut, like, top 3 running back.
Yeah. Daniel Jones, once again, getting there. Efficient. Did throw a pick. That was pretty bad. But besides that, pretty decent performance from Daniel Jones. You're happy.
I'll amend my Josh Downs take really quick. He did only get 29 snaps again. So it's the same process as when Alec Pierce was here. Alec Pierce is the receiver 2 when he, like, most of the time, because JT's a beast, so he's on the field blocking.
Yeah.
So honestly, like 29 snaps, 6 catches. How replicable is that? Tud, I think he got to. Like,
I think 3 of his receptions came on the first drive.
Yeah, my friend texted me. He was pissed.
Yeah, so they were like, it seemed like they made it like part of their game plan to get him involved early, which is encouraging. That it shows like the Colts want to get him the ball a little more. But he had 3 more receptions the rest of the game after that first drive, and I think that's kind of more on par with like the downs we've seen all year. Which, like you said, Dale, maybe a streamable flex like on bye weeks or if it's PPR league, deeper formats. But I'm not going too crazy on downs at the moment.
I agree.
I think just the passing volume for that team is like you really only want to start Pittman there. JT, obviously, you're firing up, and Daniel Jones too.
I mean, it's still Daniel Jones at the end of the day. It's not like Mahomes or anything.
Yeah. Right. So let's get to this Dolphins-Chargers game. I was actually so bummed about this, the way this
one what's finished. Up, Frizzle?
Yeah, what up, Frizz? I had Dolphins picked as my lowest pick for the week in my pick'em pool. And so the Dolphins pulling this one off would have been huge for me. And it was so close, but then there's just a defensive lapse on that last play where they have Herbert wrapped up for a sack that likely wins them the game. Herbert somehow gets away from it, finds a lad. Dolphins safety takes like an awful angle on Ladd, and it's a 40-yard play, puts him in field goal range. They kick the field goal and win it. What do we think as far as fantasy goes for this game? I think Vidal kind of going nuts is an interesting development, but how much of that do you think is sustainable, or how much of that do you think is just Dolphins' worst run defense in the NFL?
Yeah, I just want to come out and say I apologize for the Haskins take. I was high on Haskins. I think a lot of people were coming out. I think that most people were thinking he was going to get the main usage there. But Kamani Vidal just comes out and dominates. So I think that if anybody from the Chargers backfield is startable, it's going to be him moving forward. That being said, the Dolphins are notorious for just having a terrible run defense. I think that running backs are consistently getting there against the Dolphins. So do I love Kamani Vidal going forward? He's not – I don't know if he's cracking my top 24, but I think that he's an interesting flex play.
Dale, question. Do you think that Kamani Vidal's great performance, 7 yards per carry, is going to eat into Hampton's workload when he comes back off an injury? They're going to be like, oh my God, first round pick injured, started midseason, decent record. Do we want to give him 90% of carries again? Or do we want to give Vidal 8 carries a game?
It's an interesting question. I think that you'll see the Chargers, depending on what the Chargers record is moving forward, I think that you'll see, if they're doing really well, they might ease Amari and Hampton back into that role just to not kind of risk injury or anything like that, given he's a first round pick and, they have a lot of capital in him. But I could totally see Kamani getting a little bit of workload there. I'm not going to say it's like a Kenneth Walker Charb kind of thing, but I think that he could definitely get some touches.
Like 20%. Something like
that. But once Hampton comes back and he's healthy, I think that he's going to crush again. I'm not too concerned about Vidal.
I agree. I'll say this for Vidal. In terms of process, it's basically the same as Zay Jones. Like we saw Kamani Vidal, I think it was rookie last year, right? And that was behind J.K. Dobbins. And everyone was like, oh my God, Kamani Vidal is going to be better than J.K. Dobbins. Oh my God. Like I remember that was like the narrative. Like people were so high on him. Forget about him. He goes into like the shadow realm, comes back from the shadow realm, does this. So I feel like moving forward, when there are backfields like this, I think you just got to go with the guy who had like random hype at some point in their process.
I think that's a good take. There was some steam that was on Vidal, so there's definitely people that like him. Choosing someone like that people like over the jag that is Hassan Haskins. I got to say, though, Haskins, if you watch that last play I was talking about, where Herbert broke a sack and Ladd went 40 yards downfield after the catch. If you watch that play, Haskins had just an incredible block. And it doesn't matter for anything for fantasy, but it's a play like that gets you on the field more.
I agree. The Brandon Ayuk, block.
And we know Harbaugh likes Haskins. He coached him in college. I can see him still being an annoying factor, and that's why I'm not trying to get too high on Vidal quite yet. Yeah. I encourage you guys to watch that play and watch Haskins. It's a pretty fun play.
I don't think Vidal's the next Daddle. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I agree. From the Dolphins' offensive perspective, Achane comes out and crushes, right? I think he's still in that kind of top 5 running back tier. You're starting him every week. You love him. Jalen Waddle also still looks pretty good. He goes for 6 and 95. I think you love that if you're a Jalen Waddle owner. He still kind of gets there without the touchdown. Everybody else is kind of a non-factor. I mean, Darren Waller gets there again with the touchdown. I mean, how are we feeling about Darren Waller?
Dude, let's talk about that because he barely got there. I started him in an ESPN league, dude. I'm pissed. I have Pitts on my bench. I was like, damn. But 3 touchdowns in a row, 3 games. He doesn't get that many targets, and it feels like every target's in the red zone. If you have 4 touchdowns off of 12 targets, that means 33% of your targets are in the red zone. That's insane. Especially when you have Screen Merchant, Devon Achane, who you had preseason Tyreek Hill oh, when we get down to the goal line, like if we want more touchdowns, you have to give it to Ollie Gordon. Like that's a real interview. So is that them like addressing that, not being like, oh, let's go Ollie Gordon red zone, but like let's give it to like big ad 6'6" Darren Waller? Like thoughts?
So I know the volume was low, and he almost like was a non-factor in fantasy if he didn't catch that touchdown. But we were talking about it all week when we were doing our drafts that I didn't like the matchup for Miami pass catchers. This Chargers secondary is really tough. They're really fast. They have some studs in their secondary, and I think they're coached well. They just fly around. So I was encouraged to see Waddle get there for this 6-95 line. Definitely inflated by that 45-yard pass that he caught. But seeing him get there against this tough defense was encouraging. And I think that's my biggest takeaway from the Miami pass catchers. I think my take on Waller doesn't change too much because this game. I think he's kind of like a low-end tight end one that I'm kind of starting based on matchup week to week. Good point about the red zone usage. That's awesome to see from Waller and shows that this production can be sustainable if he's going to keep getting those red area targets. Because who else is going to get them? Who else do they have that's kind of like a big body guy for the red zone?
Nick Westbrook kind.
Yeah.
Like, it's like not a lot.
Remember when he was just sun running touchdowns to start last season?
Ridiculous. He's got the Alec Pierce process right now in terms of him and Malik Washington. Like, I would almost say it's like the same exact situation. Like, you have him on the 2 receiver sets blocking most of the time. He's getting all the snaps. And then Malik Washington's their actual receiver who's getting like target share.
Yeah.
Right.
Luke has a question in the chat. He said, I'm up 20 and my fantasy opponent still has Merritt and Moore, and I have the option to start Odunze or Debo. What should I do? For me, I'm definitely starting Rome here. Debo's questionable, so it's not even a given he plays, and I just like Rome's matchup a lot more. And also, too, because your opponent's starting DJ Moore, like playing Odunze is kind of a way to create some edge for you, where if say like Odunze's getting majority of the targets, that's obviously going to hurt more. So I think like kind of making that correlated bet gives you your best chance.
And you're almost betting that JCM's going to get all the touchdowns and not Debo by doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's clear cut Odunze there. To answer Frizzle's question really quick, Giants going after Chris Olave. Is he Neighbors 2.0 if he goes to New York?
Yes.
I think that I was a little bit low on Olave. And his target share gets there for sure. Is he in a great offense? No. Is he like a top 12, top 16 wide receiver? No. But I think he's an exciting wide receiver 3, and I think he's a must start every week just given his usage.
I would agree.
Receiver 1 usage, receiver 3 production damn near.
Yeah. We'll talk about him a little bit more when we get to that game though.
I think that's the next game.
Yeah, the last thing I'll say about the Chargers, just with their wide receiver usage, if you're a Lat McConkey owner, you love that game. He finally gets there.
Yep.
Keenan Allen doesn't play great. I don't know if I'm changing a lot in my rankings, though, just because I feel like Keenan Allen can still get there on a week-to-week basis. He probably falls a little bit for me just because these kind of young guys are up and coming. I don't think I'm dropping QJ in my rankings yet. He was injured this week, so you can't say a ton about that. But I think it's an encouraging game for Lad, and you should just kind of keep an eye on that wide receiver room moving forward.
Still feel good about starting Herbert week to week?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
He does what you need him to do today or this week.
I think the passing volume might even be better in the next coming weeks. I don't know who they play next week, but just like we were talking about how bad the Dolphins' run defense is, I don't know how sustainable 100 yards on the ground is, so we could even see more receiving work in a little bit of a tougher matchup. Before we stop on that game, I had to show the play I was shouting. Watch the sound Haskins on this play.
Pressure coming again. Herbert in trouble. Herbert keeps it alive. Completes it to McConkey, who stops on a dime. There McConkey inside the 20.
See, small play, but stuff like that's going to get you on the field. I thought that was a fun one to watch. And just a great play. Although it did make me sad. All right, so try to go through these games a little quicker. Patriots, Saints, big takeaway. Olave, relevant for fantasy.
Drake May.
Stat line definitely inflated by the 50-yard bomb he caught to start the game. I think if he scores a touchdown, that's kind of his ceiling performance right here that we got this week. And he was close to catching one. If you saw, he had one kind of bounce off his hands. I think Kayshon Boutte, this is kind of what we can maybe expect from him, just spiking every couple weeks.
When you're on the field the whole day, like you're bound to get a game where you do good.
Yeah, super efficient. Are we worried about this performance from Diggs?
Yes. I think that I'm a little bit concerned about Diggs. I know that we just moved him up in our last week's rankings, but he's going to fall back down a little bit for me, just because he's not even like the second guy there in terms of usage this week. I mean, Demario Douglas goes for three for 71 and the TUD, where Diggs is going for 3 and 28. Am I counting Diggs out? No. But I think that he's going to be more of that boom bust guy and not somebody that you're relying on every single week moving forward.
I do have to shout with Diggs that he was offensive pass interference away from finishing this game with like a 4 and 90 stat line. He caught like a 50-something yard pass late in the game, but they called it back due to offensive pass interference when it was in my opinion, a pretty like 50-50 call. Like a lot of the time you see receivers get away with that. So that was encouraging if you're trying to tell yourself the story on Diggs. But I think we got to lower him a bit in the rankings for sure, just because I think this is kind of like a floor range of outcomes for him. Just didn't get there with that one deep pass. And I mean, if that pass had connected, he's still getting there for fantasy with kind of what your expectations are, like wide receiver 3 production.
Would you move him down to where we're moving Keenan Allen down to?
I think I'd still, I think that's
Keenan Allen, Pittman all in the same range right now, or no?
Yeah, I think they're all kind of same tier guys.
Yeah, I agree.
For me. All right. That's pretty much it. Drake May looked awesome. That was encouraging. If you're
literally
Drake
played
May.
Damn near a perfect game, bro.
Yeah,
like, what are we doing?
That was
Rattler looked good too. Let's not ignore Rattler, bro.
Dude,
Rattler looks like a starting quarterback. I don't care.
There we go. I'm excited because I picked him up in Superflex.
I liked that move by you.
The last thing I'll say about that game is Kendre Miller has 8 carries to Alvin Kamara's 10. That usage kind of is still creeping up. Alvin Kamara dominates the reception, so he still kind of gets there for you. And then, Olave is encouraging. He goes for 10 targets, 98 yards, 6 receptions. So I think that he's a kind of solid wide receiver 3 every week for you.
Yep.
But yeah, just keep an eye on Kendre Miller. If that kind of rushing usage continues and kind of keeps going up, then he might be
a high ankle sprain from
Alvin Kamara is an injury away from Kendre being a every week starter.
Yeah. So we can kind of skim over this game. In my opinion, probably like one of the least entertaining games of the weekend. Kind of went how we expected. DK Metcalf once again getting there on super low volume.
Crazy.
But still getting there, which is kind of what DK's been doing all year.
Week.
He did have 9 targets, so that's pretty nice, but only converted on 4 of them. I think we kind of going to keep him in the same range. I think he's like a wide receiver 2, kind of boom bust wide receiver 2 right now. You still feel good about playing him every week, but you don't want to be relying on him to do this every week. Judkins, are we worried about this performance from Judkins? We finally get a floor game from him.
Right.
Stout defense from the Steelers. I'm not too concerned. I still like the usage. Something I did not notice, though, that I'm going to look into while you guys continue to talk is the tight end usage in Pittsburgh, mostly for dynasty implications, but Darnell Washington playing a lot over a favorite in Jonnu Smith of Arthur Smith and over Pat Freiermuth. Like, very interesting what's going on here. It looks like a 50-50 split between Jonnu and Darnell, but Darnell is playing the most right now, which is very interesting to me.
Yeah, that's definitely interesting. Once again, I'm not too concerned about Judkins as well. The Steelers have a pretty good rushing defense. He gets the majority of the carries in that backfield. Dylan Sampson gets 3. Jerome Ford gets 2. Kind of as we expect. Jerome Ford and Dylan Sampson are the ones getting the receiving usage, but Judkins is going to be that guy in the red zone for you. I think that if the Steelers score, or if the Browns score a touchdown or two, then Judkins definitely going to kind of be in that realm of guys that you're relying on to score in Cleveland.
Yeah. I do got to say, this was kind of my concern when we were ranking the running backs earlier last week, and why I had Judkins a little lower than you guys did, I think. I kind of had him in that. We know he's the workhorse, but I'm really worried about this Browns offense. Like, I don't love to be starting pieces from it. Love Judkins as a talent, but a game like this where he's only scoring 3.6 points in any format is pretty worrisome. I think the thing that's the most worrisome for me is like that we see in a game like this where the Browns are playing from behind, he's not the one who's getting that pass game volume.
Yeah.
So I think that does kind of show that he's a little game script dependent at this kind of time. So I am worried about that. And I think that we do need to think about that a little bit in our rankings and kind of who we're ranking him by, just because of, I mean, we saw with Breece Hall, he didn't get there this week in a really tough matchup, but he did a little better just because he had that receiving volume. When Judkins did not. So I don't know, just something to think about.
Yeah, I think that's a good take. You definitely want to kind of look at the game script going against Judkins. If they're going to be getting blown out or something, he's not as exciting.
Yeah.
No, it's just like RB moment.
I got to say, though, if your league mates are panicked on him, I do like buying. I do like buying. Yeah. If you can get him cheap. Obviously.
Speaking of people panicking, people are panicking. Some people are panicking on QJ for the Chargers. So if you find a league mate like that, I wouldn't mind taking advantage.
All right, so let's get to Cowboys Panthers. This one was a fun game. Seems like every Cowboys game this year is just super fun because of how bad their defense is. They just get in like really fun game scripts. Yeah, and they're fun to watch. Javonte has a floor game. I think that's something to note. Rico Dowdle obviously just went nuts once again. 30 carries, 183 yards, 4 receptions on 5 targets as well. So he got 35 looks in this game if you're combining
CMC usage,
carries, bro, which is just insane usage. George Pickens has an awesome game and was just, if you were watching this game, he was so fun to watch. He was like, he was just doing the most George Pickens stuff ever.
Unnecessary hurdles, bro. Oh my God. But about George Pickens, dude, like, how much are we going to discount this? Because I don't want to discount any of his production right now with CD out. Like, I almost want to like discount Ferg's production almost, like, because someone's production is going to get hit. When CD
I think
comes
it's more
back.
Ferguson. I think that's a good shout. I don't see why George Pickens can't be a low-end wide receiver 1 rest of the season, even with CD Lamb back. Yeah, like I don't see why he can be like what T. Higgins has been giving you in years past with the healthy Joe Burrow, like a little more boom bust than he's been since CD's gone. But I mean, you gotta start him every week. I feel good if I have him in my lineup. We see his ceiling. We know it's high. We see his floor, maybe not so high. He is kind of a lower floor player, just kind of the nature of his game. But he's always a threat to catch a 40-yard touchdown at like any given moment, which is just something you can't say about a lot of wide receivers in the NFL. So I think for that, let me ask you this: George Pickens or DK Metcalf rest of the season?
Here we go.
Pickens.
Yeah,
I almost like want to leave DK just because I don't know, like he's underperforming like right now. Like, I mean, he's overperforming. I don't know. Like DK is so interesting. I want to see like another week of DK before I like really nail him down.
Yeah,
I need to see him have a good week without scoring a touchdown before I can kind of solidify him. What's up, Mando?
YouTube rapid fire. George Pickens, Nico Collins.
George Pickens.
I think I'm Nico Collins.
George Pickens, Cortland Sutton.
George Pickens.
George Pickens, Michael Pittman.
George Pickens.
George Pickens, Zay Flowers.
George Pickens.
George Pickens, Devontae Adams.
George Pickens.
Okay, so George Pickens got to move up a tier in my rankings then, because that's everyone in his rank.
If you have my tiers, he was in this B tier, and I think you can kind of put him let me ask you, George Pickens or Jalen Waddle?
Jalen Waddle.
Waddle. I had Pickens my tier below Waddle, London, Debo, Jamar, JJ. So I didn't have him in their tier. The low-end receiver 1 tier. Let's call it that for now. Low-end mid receiver 1.
Okay. We could talk more about Pickens as the week goes on, but definitely super encouraging game from him. And just season overall. If you were buying him in Dynasty this offseason, I think you got great return on that value so far. It's really cool. I mean, as someone who's a George Pickens fan since Georgia, like seeing him really sustain production is awesome to see, and he's just so fun to watch. For the Panthers, I don't really have any major takeaways. I know people are like gonna go nuts about Rico Dowdle, and I do think he's definitely gonna force a split between him and Chuba. But that's one I kind of want to take a wait and see approach with. Like, I don't want to try to get ahead of my skis and buy Rico Dowdle, sell Chuba, maybe if you're still getting value, but I doubt people are going to want Chuba where things stand right now. Encouraging to see Tet get in the end zone, even though his targets were way lower than they'd been in the last couple weeks. Where are you guys at on the Dowdle thing and Tet?
Yeah, I think that if you're Carolina, I don't know how you can go ahead and put Chuba back into that kind of, workload back role. I think that it's without a doubt going to be at least a split backfield. You might see Dowdle take over.
K9 Sharp type or what?
Maybe. I don't think, I agree with you. I don't think Dowdle's somebody that I'm going to go and buy because I think he's probably going to be too expensive. He's not somebody that I'm laying all my chips on the line for right now.
What if you're a Chuba owner?
I am a Chuba owner, and I'm disgusted. This is awful. This is like
because I had a Chuba owner. He wants to buy Rico. Like he was texting me last night. He's like, "Dude, I want to buy Rico. I'm like, I don't really love buying Rico for the same reasons you just said. Like,
right? Yeah.
Are we really buying Zach Charbonnet right now?
No. Yeah, I don't hate buying Zach Charbonnet if you can get a deal on him, but if he's at an expensive price, then I'm not going to buy him. That's about all for the Panthers game for me. I think that, same thing with Tet. It's nice to see him get in the end zone. I'm a little bit concerned about Bryce Young's passing volume and just kind of the yardage that he gets, but I still like him moving forward. I think that CD is still going to be the wide receiver 1 without a doubt when he comes back. I know, I've been seeing some people say, "Oh, George Pickens, new wide receiver 1." I don't think that's the case. CD Lamb is still going to be that guy out there, but I do think that they can have a really nice duo. So it's exciting to see.
Oh yeah. All right. I do kind of just want to skim through these last couple games because we're running low on time, and I do want to talk about the games happening tonight. Seahawks, Jaguars, JSN and him.
Yeah.
Brian Thomas Jr. bounce back. We'll talk more about BTJ, I'm sure, throughout the week, but I'm not going to dunk on you too hard yet, Yash, but I think me and Dale are looking like we're on the right side of things. With
I was probably too low on him. I was probably hating on BTJ like I should have been with Marv. I think I want to drop Marv to like receiver like 36, bro. Like I want to put him to like receiver 37 to really send a message personally, at least with Kyler Murray as his QB. I mean, we just saw Jacoby Brissett play a completely different type of football than Kyler, right? So I feel like I want to still like discount like all the stuff and be like Marv's a good player, just bad scheme. In terms of BTJ, probably like receiver 18 for me still. I mean, yeah, he gets there, but like, I don't know. I'm still just not sold on this being an every week thing with Liam Cohen. Like, I think it really played out well for him in this matchup with an injured Seahawks defense. We were talking about it on stream, how we're like, BTJ going bounce back. Like I said that, like, and I'm like number 1 BTJ hater on this stream. So I will take my L on this game, but I'm not exactly loving buying him how a lot of people price him right now. But I would buy low.
Yeah.
BTJ or George Pickens?
Pickens.
Ooh, that's tough for me. That's pretty tough. I don't know.
If I look at my tier list, I probably move BTJ to like my D or C tier, and I move Pickens to my B tier. I mean, BTJ's D tier sounds crazy, but my D tier is literally Worthy and Rashee Rice just because I don't know where to put them. Like, I have like an H tier in my rankings. Like, I have like hello rankings. So it sounds disrespectful, but it really isn't. That's like receiver 18-20.
Okay. That's pretty much it for that game. Rams somehow only score 17 points. Seems like Puka narrowly avoided a major injury. Seems like it's just like a ankle sprain. They said he's day to day, so he'll probably be playing. I do say we got to monitor him next week. Might have to lower him a little bit just for like this week, just because I want to see like how healthy he looks. We saw him get back on the field in this game, but I don't think he was targeted after. He at least didn't catch a pass, so we finally see like a Puka down game, but I'm not overly worried about it. Just think it's a situation we need to monitor. No really major takeaways other than that.
Yep. I think that I really wouldn't be surprised. I mean, the Rams have a week 8 bye. I could totally see the Rams just like sitting Puka week 7, give him some time, give him that 2 weeks, have him come back week 9 healthy. He's kind of their like star player. So there's no reason to rush him back, I think. If he does miss week 7, I think that Davante Adams is probably a top 12 wide receiver that week. Not a ton of takeaways from there or other than that.
Just encouraged to see Derrick Henry back to 24 carries, good production. Zay Flowers, I mean, if you were low on him for some reason, it looks like he's still the receiver 1, 10 targets, even with the backup QB and Tyler Huntley, 2 different QBs. Kind of don't love the Kyron Blake Corum split right now. 13 carries to 5, not the best thing ever. You don't like to see, what is that, like a 40-60 split almost. That's like quick maths, guys. Will adjust my Matthew Stafford take. I mean, the whole point of me putting him in my top 12 QBs was Puka, great season, Davante Adams, great season. If one of them's out, I don't think you can start Matthew Stafford. And that's my takeaway.
Yeah, I think this was the downside Matthew Stafford game. I kind of let Yosh talk me into starting him in a league this week. And
I didn't expect Puka to die, bro. We thought it was going to be a smash spot for Puka and Adams, bro.
Yeah, I know. And also, too, to be fair, Matthew Stafford completely missed Adams on 2 straight plays in the red zone, like early on in the game. And, of course, we took Adams' touchdown. And I was watching the game very closely and see Matthew Stafford make 2 bad throws. One, Adams he ran like a slant over the back of the end zone and was just running wide open. Stafford threw it over his head. It hit off Adams' like top of his hands. He could have made the catch, but just couldn't bring it in. Very next play, Adams beats his corner to the outside and Stafford just throws it out of bounds, uncatchable ball. So that was hella frustrating. But I do think better days are ahead for just the Rams offense overall. I think they might have took the Ravens a little softly. And I think it's the NFL, anything can happen on week-to-week basis, but no major takeaways for fantasy for me. Titans, Raiders.
Just really quick, last thing. Do you have anything to say about Likely Mark Andrews? They kind of go 50-50 there on the snaps this week. Likely's usage is kind of going up. I know neither of them really get there fantasy-wise. Any kind of takeaways there or not really?
To be honest, no major takeaways for me yet. I do like Likely in Dynasty. I don't feel great about starting either of them. I'm more interested to see how things play out once Lamar gets back.
That's fair. All right, let's move on.
Titans, Raiders, nothing really to talk about here for me. Titans just fired their head coach today, which might be better.
Love it.
Calvin Ridley went down with injury.
Genty kind of doing the same thing, but just getting there in the end zone, honestly, if you look at his score.
I think this is kind of why I'm having Genty in my range with Judkins, matchup dependent, workhorse RB. He's going to get the carries and a positive game script, going to get there for fantasy, and a bad game script. He might still get there for fantasy, but it might be a little tougher.
I'll make a Cam Ward. I'll do my Cam Ward take real quick. I don't think Cam Ward's going to be great this year, simply because of the amount of like weight and like pressure they're putting on him. He's already had 202 dropbacks this season, which is like, I think top 5 in dropbacks out of all QBs. For example, Baker's only dropped back 195, Stafford 209. Herbert 216, Mahomes 203 in the third quarter. Like, he's throwing as much as some of the premier quarterbacks in the league right now. Sam Darnold's only done 161, Hurts 172, Tua 182, Fields 123, Goff 153, Jones 180. Like, how are we having a rookie quarterback on a garbage fire team with garbage fire O-line, with garbage receivers drop back 200 times, 33 times a game, and we're expecting something good to happen? And you have Tony Pollard as your running back. You can't set up any play action because the run game won't get started. Like, in Dynasty, I love buying low on Cam Ward right now. If you look at rookie Trevor Lawrence, you look at rookie Justin Herbert, you look at rookie Bryce Young, all these players for this example, all these players dropped back 33 to 35 times a game. You know what their team's records were? All negative. Lawrence 3-14, Herbert 7-9, Bryce Young 2-15. So I think, like, as an economist, right, this isn't like a great like statistical thing, right? I don't have a huge sample size. I didn't do a bunch of research, but as a dummy brain guy, I will say the more dropbacks you are putting on your quarterback who's a rookie, the worse your record's going to be, especially when you're not supporting them. So love buying Cam Ward, and I think a lot of the hate he's getting is just undeserved.
Yeah. Final thing I'll say about this game, Tyjae Spears is finally starting to get a little bit of workload. I know that they kind of only had 15 carries among that backfield, but he's more productive. He goes for 5 and 31 as opposed to Tony Pollard's 10 for 34. I do think Tyjae Spears is a guy to kind of keep your eye on this year. He gets more receptions. He gets 4 to Tony Pollard's 2. So I think that you're a little bit nervous if you're a Tony Pollard owner. Definitely want to try to grab Tyjae Spears if he's still a guy in the waiver wires. But just something to keep your eye on.
I do gotta say, the Tyjae shout, especially with the new head coach. Continue.
Yeah, Raiders run D low key underrated. Like, they've kind of been holding running backs, but it's not really been talked about too much. I think they held Taylor to like less than 70 yards when we played him, and then this week Titans get nothing on the ground. So just something to keep an eye on matchup wise. Bengals Packers. Jamar has a great game with first game under Joe Flacco. I think T. Higgins got there too. Yeah, 5 for 62 for T on 8 targets. Definitely seemed like a little bit of an increase. Yeah, nothing super major to take away from this game, in my opinion.
Joe Flacco just gets Jamar Chase there, kind of gets T. Higgins there.
Yeah, it's kind of what we were speculating could happen this week.
How about Golden usage? I didn't even peep that.
Yeah. Golden
targets.
Mm-hmm. Golden's exciting. I think that you can't love anybody in that wide receiver room still just because of how much they spread out the ball. We've talked about that a lot. Everybody gets a few touches in that offense. But Golden's interesting. I like to see that he's getting that kind of long bomb reception, 3 for 86. Definitely somebody that I'm going to kind of hold on to for a little bit longer. He might break out towards the end of the season, but we'll see.
2 carries for 16 yards as well, too.
During the game at all?
I don't think so.
Because I wouldn't call it a post bye week rookie bump, but I would say it's a post bye week Dontavian Wicks, Malik Heath usage just drop off.
Wicks does get injured in the game.
Okay, I was about to say, like, because he goes from 64 to 21 snaps while Matthew Golden stays steady at like his 40 to like 46 range.
Yeah, you do see Wicks go down with the ankle injury.
Okay. Let's get to Niners Bucks. Baker once again getting there with
MV Baker.
Just randoms. Emeka Egbuka goes down early with injury. He's thrown to Cameron Johnson, Sterling Shepard, Tez Johnson, which shout out Tez Johnson. Have him stashed in some dynasty leagues. Rachaad White falls into the end zone, kind of does Rachaad White stuff, 17 carries, only 65 yards. CMC, less productive on the ground, but that's Tampa Bay run defense, kind of what we expected. Does fall in the end zone, 7 receptions for 57 too, just standard kind of CMC game.
Kendrick Bourne makes Jennings look like a bum, bro. Love the Mac Jones Bourne connection. I will stay by my take that I don't know if you can start Kendrick Bourne if Purdy's starting. I think you can almost attribute this to like just the connection between Jones and Bourne. But at the same time, like if it was that easy for just a connection to get you 100 yards a game, why wouldn't more players be doing that? So I feel like you can discount Kendrick Bourne, but not that much. I feel like he might emerge.
Yep. Yeah. I think that Bourne is definitely somebody you need to keep your eye on right now. 5 for 142. He just like crushes again. So he's not somebody I'm counting out at all. Even when the 49ers wide receivers are healthy again, I still want to keep an eye on him. Tonjes also has another encouraging game, right? 6 for 58. I know that Kittle is way, way better, but you might see him getting some usage even when Kittle comes back. Kind of another thing to keep an eye on for sure.
For sure. Last game that happened yesterday is Chiefs-Lions. Mahomes, once again, just smashes for fantasy. 3 touchdowns through the air, touchdown on the ground, 32 rush yards. I think we can kind of pencil in Mahomes from anywhere for like 20 to 35 rush yards this year. He's just going to keep doing that, which is really nice for his floor. Kelsey looks okay. I don't know if he's going to get as many targets as he's getting once Rice is back, but I do think I know a lot of people were concerned about Kelsey coming into the year because his age is getting up there, but I think he looks fine. I don't think he looks horrible out there. I think he's still somewhat Travis Kelsey, and we can start him as a low end tight end 1, mid to low end rest of the season. Worthy, really low volume for him. That was not encouraging for sure. But I'm not really super worried. J-Mo finally has a good game on the other side of things. I don't know. What do you guys think of that?
I think that's kind of what J-Mo does. He's kind of a, boom bust guy. Amon-Ra still leads the team with 9 receptions and 45 yards. So he gives you kind of an Amon-Ra floor week, which is still okay. He gives you 13.5 points in full PPR. J-Mo is still kind of just a flex guy for me, honestly. I think that he's all right to start in flex, but you need to understand that there are going to be games where he does this, has a great game, and there are going to be games where he does little to nothing. So, not somebody that I'm changing in my rankings a ton.
Yeah, 7 targets is nice. Gibbs taking majority of carries yesterday.
Not just carry snaps too. Huge snap drop off for Demont. He played 16 instead of his normal 20 to 30. 25 to 30 more like.
Yep. And I think
that too probably had to do with game script, I would say.
Yeah.
Either way, only 4 carries off of that.
Yeah. Not a ton of.
Want to move to bets? You got 7 minutes in.
Yeah, and Bob says, should he keep Hill or pick up Vidal, Taysom Hill? I would pick up Vidal.
Yeah. If Vidal's on your waiver wire, go and grab him, man. You can't count him out anymore at this point.
All right, so these are the bets I locked in earlier today. Sent these to the Discord already this morning, but I'll kind of talk my way through them. So Bijan, touchdown along with rush yards. I think I put a half unit on this, plus 145 payout. I just like the matchup against the Bills. I will say the only worry here is that it's a bad game script, but I think Atlanta at home will be able to keep it close enough. Bills struggle against the run. I think Bijan can have a good game, and I think he's going to get fed the ball too. In order for the Falcons to stay in this game, they're going to have to play ball control and kind of try to keep the ball away from Allen as best they can. So I think Bijan, we can definitely see him having a big game on the ground as well as get in the end zone. So I like parlaying the two together. And then these ones are just 2 more kind of tight end dart throws or touchdown dart throws that I took. I just put a quarter unit on each of these. Colston Loveland, I just really like these odds at 506. And we were talking about him last week, how I think this could be the week where he gets worked back into the offense more, coming off the injury. He's healthy now, and we know he's a stud talent. It's just going to be a matter of time for him, I think. And I could definitely see him get in the end zone for plus 500 odds. I like taking that bet today. And Zach Ertz, Debo's been questionable all week. Still no Terry. We know Jaden likes to find Zach Ertz in the red zone. I think he can get into the end zone there. I like the odds on that as well. And then 2 more slips I locked in earlier were Bijan first half rush yards along with Odunze 50 receiving yards. Bijan first half rush yards. This is kind of to protect a little bit from the game script argument that I was talking about earlier, and how if it's a blowout, they might be forced to kind of air it out. But I mean, if you look at Bijan's game logs, he's going over 40 first half rush yards in every game this year and majority of games last year, which just kind of shows that the Falcons like to get him going early. And I think that's definitely going to be their game plan today. So I definitely like this 30 first half rush yards number. And then Odunze 50 receiving yards. He's been hitting that this year, 3 or 4 games. And he's going to be facing a lot of man coverage today against the Commanders. And I just overall kind of like this game for Chicago's pass catchers. So I think Odunze can get that mark pretty easily. I do think Bijan is my higher confidence play of those two. And then the MLB slips are playing out right now, but just waiting to see on that. That game just started. Yeah. Do you guys have any thoughts on these slips or any other shouts for any bets today? We can pull up the underdog lobby too.
Yeah, I mean, I think that James Cook is kind of an interesting bounce back week. I know that he kind of had a dud week last week, but I'm interested to see kind of what his lines are at. He's been super touchdown efficient, so I don't hate taking his touchdowns. They definitely love giving it to him in the red zone. So that's kind of a guy that I'm keeping my eye on.
Just so I know what Vegas is thinking, can you pull up just the Bills receivers? I want to see what they think is going to happen.
Yeah. So we got Kincaid. I guess Kincaid does have lines. I haven't seen if he's officially active or not. That'll probably come out shortly here. Shakir's at 46.5. I did see that Atlanta's pretty good against slot receivers, and I also saw that AJ Terrell's back for them. So I don't hate taking a lower on like Khalil Shakir receiving yards, something like that.
So you basically have it spread between Kincaid, Coleman, Shakir, and they think Shakir is going to be receiver 1. Yeah. That's weird. So then what's going to happen if Kincaid's out? You think Knox is going to get a boost in production, or you think it's going to go to Cook?
I think
especially with your pass game stuff, yeah.
Yeah. I did see, too, that Atlanta plays a lot of single high safety, and Allen in his career is, like, killed single high. So this could be a good Josh Allen spot. I was looking at this 34.5 longest completion number, and I do not hate that at all. He's only got there, I think, in 2 of the 4 games this year. And then one of them he didn't get over is like a 33-yard pass. So facing some single high, and Atlanta also likes to send a lot of blitzes. So I could definitely see there being a play where someone gets open deep. I think if anyone, it's probably Keon Coleman, maybe Palmer, but I not super high confidence in this. Just kind of something I was somewhat interested in.
Just something you're entertaining.
Yeah.
Are there any Bears players that you're interested in kind of taking for a touchdown?
Yeah, what do they have DJ Moore at?
Touchdowns this week.
So I took Loveland already. Okay. I was talking about earlier.
Right.
I kind of like this 48.5 number for Swift. You guys know I hate DeAndre Swift as a talent and player, but Commanders have been not great against the run. You should get a good amount of volume today on the ground. So I can see him going over that number, especially if he just breaks off one like somewhat long run. He'll definitely go over. I think Kyle Monunga is questionable too and doesn't seem like he's playing. So it's going to kind of be his backfield throughout this one.
So what's his fantasy points number at?
11.25.
Okay.
This is going to be post-bye week, so we could see some Luther Burden shenanigans. What did they have?
Yeah.
Over Zacchaeus, too. I could see it.
This is Zacchaeus' former team he's playing against. Just another.
Oh, yeah. That's a good shout. Interesting shout.
And then also, too, this is a rematch of the Jaden Daniels Hail Mary game. I don't know if Luther Burden has any lines out. Oh, yeah, he does. 1.5 receptions, 19.5 yards.
Interesting.
Don't mind this.
DJ Moore and Olamide Zaccheaus have the same percent of team targets, which is very concerning in my opinion because Zaccheaus plays like 3/4 as much as DJ Moore. DJ Moore's on there like every play.
Taking this 1.5 receptions for Burden.
But they are both at 16%. So DJ Moore and Zaccheaus account for a third of their passing offense.
You guys want to cook up a slip and then get out of here?
Don't you have to go like a minute ago?
We'll do one.
I got 5 minutes.
One quick slip.
Yeah.
I like taking a Bears receiver. You guys can pick them. But
I was also looking at the drafts for today. They might have filled already, to be honest.
It's just like I just can't believe DJ Moore's a bum. It's like I have a friend who's like a diehard DJ Moore fan since like the Panthers.
So
like,
we'll go who? Luther. Cook touchdown.
I'm with it.
2 receptions. Has Burden been hitting that at all, or are we just really hoping for the bump?
He's been hitting it the last 2 weeks.
I don't hate it then.
What are the Debo lines looking like?
58.5 receiving yards. If he's healthy, he'll probably hit that.
Yeah, no Terry McLaurin still.
I also was looking at Jaden rush yards. Chicago also plays a lot of man. As you guys kind of know, man coverage tends to play well for rushing quarterbacks. I don't mind this longest rush number either, 16.5. His rush yards line feels pretty high at 46.
It does.
But I like the longest rush kind of. Not something I need to throw on, but just something I'm somewhat interested in.
Right.
Yeah.
So his longest rush recently is 14, 8, and 12. So just something to kind of consider.
Yeah.
He does go for 70 rushing yards on 11 carries against the Giants last week. Or not last week, sorry, in his very first week.
Do you have any thoughts on Drake London, Penix? I will say I do like a lot of the Bijan stuff, maybe rush attempts. His line's at 15.5. He's gone over this in 2 of the 4 games this year. In the 2 games that he didn't go over, one was when they were getting blown out by Carolina, and the other one was against Tampa's tough run D. I do kind of like taking the yards ahead of attempts with Bijan just because he's usually so efficient that if he's going to get there with the attempts, he's usually going to get there on the yards. You guys in on that? Or what are your thoughts? Do you like touchdown with Bijan?
Dude, I'm going to be so serious. I was so scared about starting any Falcons players this week. I think I just have like a weird perception of the Bills defense, though, even though they're kind of bummy this year.
They're so bad against the run.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I like the Bijan line.
I'm probably not the best to ask for that. I'm a little biased.
Let's take the 73.5. I already took it in another slip, but we'll run it back.
For anyone wondering, I have like the Bills defense in like every fantasy league. I don't know. I don't know.
Do you think Adunze scores again? Do we think Keon Coleman catches a bomb?
What's the K's touchdown?
20-yard longest reception for Keon doesn't feel too bad. Zaccheaus touchdown.
Mm-hmm. If you want to make a slip for me, I'll send you 5 for a Zaccheaus Allen touchdown slip.
Josh Allen, Zaccheaus.
Yeah, I think Josh Allen's plus money for rushing touchdown right now.
Yeah, we'll cook that up after real quick.
Yeah, we'll throw that down as the ham slip.
The Burden, Cook, Bijan. I want one more leg. Should we take the Josh Allen longest completion? Should we take JCM rush yards maybe?
Ooh, I like it. I like betting on players who are like fringe.
Chicago's been bad against the ground too.
I feel like I like JCM touchdowns more than the rush yards. I mean, 4 yards shorter than Bijan feels kind of like a lot.
I know his lines feel high. It's interesting too. His line's at 14.5 attempts, and he hasn't gone over that mark once so far this season. So, yeah, that's something to kind of note that the books are projecting him some pretty high volume today. I'm not opposed to that touchdown shout. It does lower our payout compared to the rush yards. Pretty good amount.
Go with your gut.
If we bump him down to 60, So he is only. So he scored in 3 of the 5 games so far this season, right? He's got the rush yards over in 2 of those. But in games with Jaden Daniels, he's scored in 2 of 3 of those and hit his rush yards over in 2 of 3 of those.
You could throw him in my stuff if you want. You could throw his rush yards in mine.
Yeah, let's take the tutty. And we're going to run that for $5 for 36.
All right. Run another
This is the surgical stream parlay. I'll drop it in the chat. The other slips that I was showing earlier on stream are definitely my higher confidence level plays, but these ones are more for fun. And then let's cook up the Yosh slip. So who do we got?
Allen TD. Zacchaeus TD. I was thinking Debo rush yards, but I'm kind of off on that with Jaden Daniels and JCM playing. Who else who's another weird player we like, chat? Frizzle, give me a shout. Frizzle and Bob Hope, give me a shout.
Colston Loveland, Luther Burden, Keon Coleman,
Shakur.
Oh, dude, I almost
Kyle Pitts.
Dude, what's Curtis Samuel? Go down to my boy. I think he's questionable right now. I don't even think he's gonna play.
Dawson Knox.
That said, though, I think I like just those 2 for now. Let me double check snap count.
Do you want to do any Commanders? Do you want to do like Zach Ertz?
No.
JCM.
We could do JCM rush yards. I think that's the only one I'd want to entertain because I have him in fantasy.
So 15x payout for those 3 right there.
Who was I just checking on?
75.
Oh, Curtis Samuel and Josh Palmer.
Luke McCaffrey. 2x.
So we are not betting on Luke McCaffrey, bro. It's not happening.
Jake Moody kicking for the Bears today.
Yeah, Bears are losing. That's all I know. Dude, is Curtis Samuel going to play? Can we get an injury update on Curtis Samuel? Questionable. If Curtis Samuel and give me a Joshua Palmer. Give me a Joshua Palmer thing. Give me like Joshua Palmer, like longest reception.
13.5.
Yeah, give me that, dude. Give me 13.5 Joshua Palmer, longest reception. Joshua Palmer split snaps with Curtis Samuel. With Curtis Samuel out and Kincaid out, I could see Joshua Palmer filling that downfield role. I like this.
Okay.
This is my slip.
These 4?
The only ones that's going to sell me is JCM, but we'll do it for the love of the game.
All right, we'll lock that in. The Yosh surgical.
Take out JCM if you don't like that slip. That's all I got to say. Gotta show love to him, though.
All right, that is going to wrap it up. I got to get out of here. Thank you guys for hopping on stream. Anyone that hopped in, make sure to drop a like on the stream. Sub to the channel if you haven't already. We'll see you guys in the next one.
Deuces.
Peace.
Peace.